My name is Dina. I am a curator, I'm a collector, and an artist. I have a photo practice with my best friend Tim called Set a Studio. We've minted work on Tezos as a studio. I've minted work as an artist independently under my own name. So you can search that on Object or Taya if you want to take a look at what some of the NFTs we've created are. I was also a curator and creative director essentially at a DAO called Refraction for about a year and a half, which I left about 2 or 3 months ago. Currently residing in Los Angeles. I'm independently curating. After I left Refraction, I curated the hotly contested Glitch Beyond Binary show auction with Sotheby's, and continue to do independent curation in Los Angeles. What else can I tell you? I'm a Pisces. Um, and this is unofficial, but I'm joining NF Tuesday as co-director in August. We'll start doing programming there. NF Tuesday is a local event in Los Angeles where artists gather on Tuesday evenings. There's usually a talk or a guest in town who shares and talks about their work for half an hour, and occasionally they mint. And let me see if I can I'll find our studio Behance and throw that link in the chat so people can check it out. Give me one sec. So here's a link to my studio practice. This is some of the more commercial work. I would say that it's mostly focused on celebrity portraiture and music video. My partner, Tim, became creative director for Metallica's entire last album release. So he shot and directed about 5 or 6 of those videos along with other artists, including Yoshi Sodioka and a few other artists, which I helped curate in the first video. I curated about 4 or 5 Tezos artists into that video, and what we did was commission or license their images for use on the screens behind the band. And then Tim had me curate 4 artists for standalone videos, including Ed Marola, Kim Asendorf, Anami Sakamoto, and Mark Dorf. So I'm all over the place, I would say, a little bit, but it's all roads point to art and supporting artists. And also I'm deeply interested in bringing artists into the commercial mainstream as much as I can. If anyone's curious can check out our commercial work on our Behance page that I just put in the chat link. And I'll throw our object page in there soon as well.
Oh, hello, Dina. My name is Anton. I am Libra. So, yeah, but I have a moon in Cancer, so we're not completely incompatible. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I would like to know how did you come to NFT and why? And yeah, a little bit of story how you started your interest in NFT space, and yeah, something about this. Thanks.
Right. So I've been following net art for a long time, like 20 years. And for me, a lot of it, like a lot of these artists like V5MT, etc., were on Tumblr and had been for a long, long time, or building out these really beautiful websites like Computers Club that I've just been following for decades as a fan of visual art. Through following net art, I just started seeing that artists were starting to mint on the blockchain. I discovered this little community on Tezos through following, like I said, net art on the internet, and Tumblr. Really kind of just my interest in visual art in general just led me to Tezos ultimately. So there's a question. There's a question from Emily the Gemini, who says, "What digital art trends are you excited about now?" And my answer to that is, I'm really excited about audio visual art. I'm seeing a lot of people are like combining sound or music with image, and I'm really interested in that right now. And GLBs. I have a deep passion for 3D work and GLB work and AR work specifically.
Hi, Dina.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming, and I'm very happy to talk with you finally. Visual artist, but I often see you collaborating with team and as a setter studio. Like, how do you work together? I love your works.
Well, that's so nice to hear. That's a good question. Tim and I have known each other for, at this point, probably over 10 years, maybe more closer to 15 years. And we became friends before we became studio partners. So, and we're best friends. So by the time it was, our studio was kind of a natural evolution of our friendship. Um, we we just kind of naturally started collaborating together, creating images together. We saw the world in a very similar way, and it became one day we just said, should we have a studio together? So that started that. It was a natural evolution of our friendship. We still work together very closely. Tim moved to Los Angeles, so he's living with me now. So working together is super easy. And I don't know how to answer that question more specifically because everything kind of starts with a mutual interest, and then we just start building an image or a video around that. It's not like one person does one thing specifically and one person does another thing specifically. We both kind of do it all, but what does happen is we will pass the image or the piece of video back and forth to each other and kind of bounce it off each other to see, what the other person adds to it until it's finished. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. And it's also very interesting that you don't really separate the process that you are working together with team, because I
Yeah,
think, yeah, if you don't have like a same vision, I think it's gonna be very difficult to work like that. So I think it's great that you have a partner that you can share the vision together.
definitely. And that's a really good point. I don't think that if we weren't so aligned, this would be possible. As a matter of fact, so our vision is so similar that oftentimes when the work is finished, we don't remember or we can't tell who did what. So it's so seamless.
That's very nice. It's like you are playing around together with a commission, actually. Yeah.
Yes. But sometimes we do, we have disagreements, right? We have a healthy amount of disagreement.
Hmm.
It doesn't usually last for long, but it's not always perfect either. Sometimes it's hard.
Hmm.
But what I love about having a partner is that you always have somebody to bounce ideas off of or ask, is this bad?
That's great. I have done many commissions here in Tokyo, but it always works different, I think.
Yes, yes, for sure. And even if you don't have a studio partner, if you have a trusted friend or a trusted artist friend that you can kind of share your process with, I think it's always really, really helpful for everyone's work.
Hmm. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to try and answer these questions in order. Tell us about your experience curating the Beyond Binary at Sotheby's. Um, Yeah, that was interesting. So I'm sure everybody here really remembers the history behind that. It was originally curated. It was originally curated, and it was all basically men, or it was all men, and there was backlash against that. An artist named Xerox was part of the originally curated for that show, and he reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in curating the evolution of that show after the backlash hit. Excuse me. 2 weeks to put together, a group of artists to add to the group, which was a little bit stressful, to be honest. That's quite a short amount of time to curate any show. But luckily, I asked folks that I have worked with before. Um, it would be helpful maybe if you had more specific questions about curating beyond binary, because I don't want to take up the entire hour here just talking about that. But basically, I had 2 weeks to curate that show. Xerox insisted that I be part of the extended curatorial group. I had a short list of people I was interested in bringing in that I thought would do good work. I also wanted to make sure that it was people that had never been curated into Sotheby's or Christie's before. I asked a group of, I think, 6 or 7 people, and I was fortunate enough to work with Rosa Minkman on making sure that the framework and all the writing around it was appropriate and corrective. Um, and that's it. It just kind of was kind of all hands on deck for a couple weeks there through the auction. One of the things that I loved the most about that experience was I curated Micah Alhadeff into the show, and Micah created the first GLB ever auctioned on Sotheby's, so that was definitely a highlight. But I will be honest about curating with Sotheby's. It's a lot of work, and you have to make sure you have to ride them and make sure that all of the PR materials, all of the writing, all of the text for the website, all of those things are correct, because they're in a hurry and they're doing a million things too. So you have to just be very vigilant as a curator about making sure that the context and the language and the estimates, et cetera, are all correct. Hey, Dave. Dave is asking about collaborating with Metallica. Do you have any other plans or visions merging these worlds? Dave, I always have a plan about merging these worlds. It's funny. Somebody asked me the other day about what it means to be a curator, and it means a lot of things. But the main thing that it means to me is stewardship. The second thing that it means to me is creating um, economic roadways, and sometimes that means exposure. And I've backing up a little bit. I've worked in visual effects and post production for almost 20 years now. That's kind of always been my day job and how I make freelance money. So I've always had one foot in the commercial world for a very, very long time, whether it's television commercials, advertising, branding, or music video. So, so for me, I've always kind of been sneaking people in, if that makes sense. And I'm obsessed with um, the crossroad where art and commerce meets. And my whole life, I've always tried to sneak artists or specialists into this world. I would say that Metallica was probably the ultimate expression of that. I don't know if in my lifetime I'll ever be able to curate that many artists into such a large kind of like mass sports kind of commercial experience where that many people see something on that level. It also, I don't know if people know this, but all of the music videos also played in global theaters around the world. So that kind of exposure was just kind of like a career highlight for me. Is there anything? Currently, I don't have any secret projects right now, Dave, but I am always thinking about ways to bring artists to the forefront and sneak them in.
That's cool. Thanks. I like thinking about it as sneaking artists in somehow. It kind of always feels like that, like when there is a real crossover from either this world or like the contemporary art world into like mainstream culture somehow.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think I've stayed in, and Tim as well. One of the reasons why we keep our commercial practice and stay in that field is so that we can do that. It gives us the opportunity to do something like a Metallic or create the space for that opportunity to happen. And we both just think not only do we like to collaborate with ourselves, we love collaborating with other people. We think that it creates something that isn't possible just with one or two people. And I think Metallica was like the result of what we got back from Metallica was just incredible. Rebecca, I think you should come forward and ask your question audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. I'm on a train, so my connection is kind of crappy. But yeah, I'm a Cancer, and as this is now part of the ritual, which I like a lot. Yeah, I guess I'm about you've done such a great job with the refraction events, obviously, that you put together the IRL ones in New York and Miami, and so you've been talking a lot. I've been talking a lot about what's been going on in LA in the process. And I was just wanting to talk about what you see the importance of these IRL events within the NFT scene, and then also, how do we I totally see them. I mean, I love those. These events are so important. But I was just wondering if you thought about how do we do that in tandem with the sort of international connection, especially for folks that don't have access to the cities that these events often take place in. You're the best.
I think it's Rebecca's birthday tomorrow. I just want everybody to know. That's a really good question. And yeah, everyone wish Rebecca a happy birthday. That's a really good question. And I think deeply about this because, ultimately, having internet and living in a large city, especially like New York or Los Angeles, which is very expensive, it's a very first world privilege. And one of my biggest takeaways from the very early hen days and being in some of those early Twitter spaces and even Clubhouse rooms was understanding that most of the world doesn't have that. They don't have gallery spaces. They don't have any kind of community spaces necessarily, and sometimes they don't even have stable internet. And so I've been thinking deeply about how do we bridge all of these things and what it means psychologically for us as artists or as a group or as a society. So I'm going to try and answer this question without droning on and on. But the first part is addressing the issue of travel and the expense of being in or traveling to a major city where most of these events occur. And I think that doing metaverse events I hate that word, but for lack of a better word, metaverse. I hate metaverse. Sorry, guys. But metaverse events are important. I'm friends with Beats who has an event called Here and Now. I do like those experiences. Some of them I don't feel like have been so successful because the design themselves really don't elevate or don't feel like they're in service to the art. They're not built around the art. But the Here and Now experience has been very, very good. And I think that doing them in there, or what Beats has done there, is a really great way for people who cannot travel to experience art together. There is an event that he's doing called Antidote on July 7th. It's free that anybody can go to. I highly recommend people check that out. There'll be an object room. Sorry, this is not a paid advertisement. There'll be a couple rooms of art. There'll be panels. I'll be on one of them with Linda Dunia and Oxeye. So that's one way to address that. There are, of course, the local events that I think are sorry, not the local events, but the IRL events, which I think are really important because, one, it's important to feel the art, not just see it on a screen, like on your computer. And more importantly, like the experience I've had meeting people IRL and feeling the collective joy. And I think for artists to feel seen and acknowledged and loved, I think is really, really critical, especially in this world where we're all online and we're all on maybe Twitter a little too much and trying to glean value or acknowledgement or meaning, from the internet. And I think when everybody's together in a room in an IRL event, for me anyways, that the totality of that experience and the meeting of people and the communing and getting to know people better and seeing the art bouncing around a room together, the light bouncing off each other, and the vibe of it all sustains me for months on end. Because I personally struggle being online a lot, to be honest. Like, it's hard on me. I feel lonely sometimes, and even though I have a million friends, it's hard because I'm not talking to people. So the importance of IRL events is, I think, just it's the oldest. It's the reason why we sit around a fire together. It's the oldest. Communing is the oldest human, I think, way to be. Bridging that, I think, with the Internet of Things, IRL stuff, and going back to locality is another thing I've been thinking about recently. Answering your question about LA, Rebecca, this is unofficial, but I will be joining NF Tuesday, which is a local event in Los Angeles where artists gather at a restaurant called El Cid. It's outdoors, and there is a guest speaker or guest artist group speaking. Last week was a talk with the Verse in Los Angeles, and I'll be joining as co-director of that initiative in August. And I think working in refraction and doing all these IRL events around the world, I realized that I was really, after being in the internet so much and being online so much, that I wanted to reinvest and take a look at locality, digging in on what's going on in my backyard or my local community. So I started hanging out with this Los Angeles crew that's basically folks running Vellum LA, Cody Edison, who runs NF Tuesday, Peter Wee, who runs Epot Gallery, out with them a bunch, going to shows a bunch, Casey Reyes, Nancy Baker Cahill. There's a fantastic group out here. And luckily being invited to join NF Tuesday as co-director. And so by returning to locality and creating a space where people coming and going can talk about their art and hang out with this LA group of people that hangs out every Tuesday, doing independent curation globally, and also getting involved in meaningful metaverse spaces. This is a very long-winded answer, but my way of triaging all the things that can hopefully bring us together and keep us from losing our minds. I love that this has turned into a happy birthday Rebecca thread. Someone writes, metaverse is so stale. It's so true. Anybody else have any question? NF Tuesday in New York City. That is such a good, you know what? Maybe, Emily, maybe we will do a special Tuesday edition in New York City. That's a great idea. Oh, Chris. Anybody else have any questions? Don't be shy. I love hearing people's voices. So if you ask me a question in the chat, don't be shy. Ask me with your voice.
Hi, Dina. I want to ask you more questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have done many amazing projects I'm wondering which one is your favorite? Like, is it from your commercial project or art project? And like, what's the difference when you work for commercial projects and art projects?
Yeah. Well, the difference between a commercial project and an art project is, with a commercial project, there's a client. So
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, yeah, so oftentimes you're not negotiating. This is not a bad thing, but you are, ultimately you're making a promotional piece of material for a client, right? Like it's either to promote an album release, or it's for album cover art, or it's a commercial.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it serves a different purpose, right? It's got to promote the product or the person successfully. And when there's a celebrity involved, it's deeply personal for them. You have to get to know them and create something that's to their taste and something that they love, because nobody wants to see a picture of themselves that they hate, right?
Mm-hmm.
For an art project, it's worse. Me and Tim have to answer to ourselves.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right? You know how this goes.
Uh-huh,
So,
uh-huh.
and there's no deadline usually.
Mm-hmm. Thank
So,
you. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the main difference there.
Mm,
But, but in both cases, we have to answer to ourselves, right? It's like
yes,
this, the
yes.
same, the same things. Is this good? Is it
Mm-hmm.
done? The same questions apply. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for the art project, I can just be done when I'm done. With a client, I'm not done until they're done.
That's true. Like which one are you feeling comfortable for both projects, or you love art project better? Because I think you have more
Oh, I
freedom for
love.
art projects.
Oh, I mean, of course, I love the art projects more, right? Because
Yes.
then you don't then you don't have to answer emails, of course. But but for me, there is a satisfaction in Metallica, for an example.
Mhm,
Um, Even though that was a very difficult project,
mhm.
when and a lot of times with these types of projects, they get killed. People don't talk about this. A lot of
Mm.
commercial projects, they get killed, the music videos get canceled, or they hire somebody else. I would say one in every three projects that I work on commercially dies. And that's
Oh.
a yes, and people don't talk about that. So when you're working in the commercial area, especially with music videos and literature, you have to be comfortable with your creation just doing nothing, or just dying for no reason. Or
Mm.
so um, you have to be comfortable with losing a lot, if that makes sense.
Mhm. I see.
Yes. So when it does happen, like Metallica, when you have those breakthroughs, even though it's not as I don't love it as much as an art project, the satisfaction of sneaking that through or
Mhm.
making that happen is immense because it's so difficult. It's out of your control.
Mm. That's true. Uh,
Hmm.
I saw like all your Metallica videos. I really loved your creation, and I also love the videos a lot.
Thank you. That was a really rare opportunity. I don't know if I'll have that again in my life. Um, and to be honest with y'all, me and Tim almost got fired. There was a lot of pushback with the clients about some of the more artistic videos. They didn't understand it. It was scary for them, and so I'm going to be honest about that too. It was a tremendous success, but it was very, very difficult. And we basically got fired by Metallica because we insisted on pushing the creative through, and that's another thing you have to be comfortable with doing is getting in fights with multi-million-dollar clients.
Mm. They didn't like it, or they liked it in the end.
I'm not sure, but what it is really is it's new. right? It's uncomfortable for them.
Yes.
Art is uncomfortable for people at that level,
Oh.
especially. So, things are moving quickly. There's a tour that needs to happen. So they also don't have the luxury of time to sit with
Mm-hmm.
something and understand it and fall in love with it. So a lot of times when you try and push artistic things in a commercial sector, client rejects it more often than not because simply because it's different, not because I don't even think they know if they like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then later they like it, hopefully. But there was a lot of fighting with Metallica when we delivered the more artistic videos in particular.
But you are brave. You fight with
Yeah.
Metallica.
Yes, it
It's
was, and
very big clients.
it was very stressful for me and Tim, and I like to talk about that because despite the victory and how great everything turned out, it really, like I keep saying, it can be very scary to face off with Nike or Metallica about these things, and we've been fired quite a few times for it. People ask me, what does being a curator mean? And sometimes I say, sometimes being a curator means getting fired and getting into a lawsuit.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
tough.
it's tough. But, not everybody's trying to make Metallica videos. But
But
it's
yeah, I think you made really good results.
I think so too. I hope Metallica understands that as well.
That's
You know,
true.
the but sometimes things just take time. I've had clients
Mhm.
not like something and then 6 months later tell me how much they love it, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, things move quickly in the space, in the world. And, um, with art, especially when you're bringing it into the mainstream, sometimes it takes a minute for it to be understood or appreciated. You have to be strong and sit in that sometimes the client for a while.
But aren't commercial client people not really open mind for new things? Or sometimes they are very open for like artistic things and new things?
Both. Sometimes they want the same formula that's easy for them and financially successful and has worked. But sometimes the client's really, really open. Like Coldplay are incredibly open to work with. I've had a few clients that are a dream to work with. They're literally like, you know, open to things being as crazy as possible. And so working with them has been really, really great. We one of the record labels that we work with a lot is called Warp Records or Ghostly Records, and in both cases, they just accept whatever we give them. We also work with a heavy metal band called Code Orange, and they're also extremely open and highly collaborative. And it's like the crazier we get with them, the more they love it. So it just depends on who your client is. We've had both extremely, extremely great to work with, extremely difficult to work with, but that's life.
Thank you so much, Dina. It's very interesting to know about the other side of the road. Yeah, some things also work same here, but yeah, here maybe it's a bit more difficult to yeah work with new things. So yeah,
You mean
it's
in
very
Japan?
interesting. Yeah, in Japan, yes.
And do you want to? I would love to hear a little bit about how, like a little bit about how it's maybe different in Japan than America.
I think maybe US is more open to um, like many expressions. Like I see many different videos or like sometimes yeah, like many different videos and expressions. But here I think we have some kind of not really rules, but types of like commercial quality and videos. So I don't think we can work or experiment other things. Yeah, also, I think Japan, we don't really have a big budget for example, making music videos or working for concerts. So, yeah, I don't think we have more possibilities to do it.
Well, I will tell you that the budgets I'm usually working with are incredibly small. So I don't I don't know if that aspect is much different North
Oh, wow.
America. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like for example, very common for even a band like Metallica to say we've got 15 or 20,000 US dollars for a music video, which is not a lot for a multi-million dollar band. Oh yeah, the faces are flying. Like it's very, very common for millionaires to have under $20,000 for a music video. So when so there's I think there's this idea that when people are wealthy that they have budgets. This is the opposite. I find that the more money clients have, the smaller the budgets are. They tend to
Mm-hmm.
value because they in themselves are a machine, and so they tend to value creative less. And because they're famous, I think the assumption by them is that somebody would be lucky to do it or it would be an opportunity for them, which is a whole nother conversation. So we struggle with the same things financially anyways.
Mhm. But how do you get a balance? Like when you have small budgets, maybe um, yeah, you have the same in the art project as well. Maybe
Mm,
yeah,
yeah, same. I mean, it's the same issue,
yeah,
right? Not
yes,
having a lot
same
of money,
issue.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so for my practice with Tim for SETA, thing that's helpful is Tim and I are both, and you have the same background. We're both good with software, and we can both shoot video and film and photography. So that experience helps us get through something with no budget because we have forced ourselves to learn how to use software to be able to make things ourselves, right? So
Yes.
luckily, and I think both of us working in the commercial world for so long, we kind of know how to make things look expensive. But yeah, know, I don't know how it would be tough. And we also rely on collaborating with other artists who understand that there's no budget and maybe want to participate. So again, going back to this idea of collaboration, a lot of the projects that we have done, Psycho, wouldn't have been possible unless we had other even outside collaborators come in and help us and contribute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I always say this, I say artists are the most generous people in the world. They give so freely um, to the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like irrationally, for no reason, but just to be able to keep making.
Mm. Uh, were you also making your artworks while working for commercial projects with Tim?
Yes, always. We're always kind of doing both at once. We're doing research and development, right? Like we're often sometimes when we're making commercial work, use that opportunity we use that experience as an opportunity to try new software or try new things. So yes, there's a lot of crossover between our commercial work and our artistic practice for sure.
That's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's great about working in the commercial area is we get to collaborate with other artists like yourself and know, have that person teach us or show us something new, and it always translates into our work moving forward.
Mm. Sounds amazing.
I'd love to ask a question when you have a moment.
Sure.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you and so much fun hearing about your commercial work. I I've done a number of installations and they're all silent. So I've always found audio really tricky, and I'm wondering whether you
Mm.
can name a few projects, audio, visual, combined projects that you've loved recently that I could take a look at.
Yeah, for sure. Emily, why don't you also DM me separately? Because I'm sure right after this call, I'll remember suddenly 5 incredible things for you to check out. So hit me up separately as well. Audiovisual things, let me think about that. I would say um, I actually went to the UCLA. They had an opening for their senior class or graduating class, and I don't know the artist offhand because it was a group show of young artists, but like a lot of incredible audio visual installation there that were using like kind of traditional 80s and 90s video art techniques with these really beautiful kind of like audio installations where they were setting up multiple speakers in a room with multiple monitors in a room. And I don't know the artist specifically, but I'd be happy to link you to that show so you can check it out. Um, And then in Los Angeles right now, there's a beautiful, beautiful installation at the temporary contemporary. Carl Craig did a gorgeous audio video installation in that entire room at LACMA. He also did programming. There's like DJ nights you can go to, like Moody Man and all these different like kind of Detroit DJs all throughout the summer. But I would say definitely check out the Carl Craig installation in Los Angeles right now. Actually, I'll throw a link to this in the chat. This was deeply inspiring, a deeply inspiring installation. It was beautiful. The sound was incredible, and it just forever changed, I think, the way I think about myself in a space. And the visuals are beautiful as well. Give me a sec to find it. It's also an important installation to me because I think you're seeing like major institutions recognize musicians as fine artists, which I think is interesting. Um, yeah, it's up through July 23rd. If anyone's in Los Angeles, I highly recommend you check this out. I think this is the biggest sleeper of the summer, or the biggest, best kept secret in Los Angeles of the summer. Check this out. While I threw it in the chat.
And maybe you have some examples of online exhibitions, something to look out on the internet, because I'm very far from Los Angeles. I'm actually in Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's so far away. But I'd love to know something, because I'm also very interested in adding audio to my visual practice, and yeah.
Yeah. That's a good thing to talk about. One of the things that I really appreciated about working with refraction was spending a lot of time trying to figure that out specifically, because a lot of these online spaces, like in Mona, etc., has pretty serious audio limitations in terms of file size. You're also kind of, what's tricky about that as well is you're kind of subject to whatever speaker the listener has, and most of the time that's through phones or laptops or computers, right? So 2 things: file size in metaverse spaces um, limits the amount of stuff you can put into one space, right? And then there's the fidelity of the audio, which is also tricky. You can't have super high-res files streaming out there being buffering issues on the internet as well. So this is a good conversation for us to have, because let me know if you found anything different That's a little tricky. Um, Also, side note, I'm a huge fan of your work. It's so beautiful. I love it. And I could totally see audio going with your work in particular. I think that would be mesmerizing. Um, Let me think about that. I think for you, I think that I'm going to say this again, the here and now spaces have been the best in terms of visual appeal and audio proximity, or just like the audio component of something you'd want to do online, especially since you're so far away. But because your work is kind of rooted in color wash and kind of color theory, I totally see you doing a fully submersive room of your work. That's just like a room. Um, have you looked into OnCyber at all as well? I think that there is, Here and Now gave away, he made this thing called the Black Box, and it's a token that you can download on OnCyber for free. Maybe take that and one of your installations in there, add some audio and see what that feels like. I think for you, I don't see you as being in a room with other artists. I would like to experience your work just in a room of its own with an audio component. You're very cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Do you know about this on Cyber Black Box room though? Because DM me separately and I'll send you a link to it and see if we can get you a token so that you can do that. You can download it and build your own room out and try that out.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Promise me you will.
I will. I promise.
Okay. Okay. Because if you don't, I'll forget. You have to ping me.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, did I answer your question? I think that was your question.
I'm satisfied 100%.
Okay. I think your question was about you're thinking about audio, adding audio to your work, and how to do that when you live in Georgia. Was that right?
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, maybe it was. I was just thinking about like, yeah, adding audio to my work and something for inspiration, because I've worked with some of the artists sound that make sound, and I find it really difficult actually to present this work somewhere, and I feel, but still I feel like I need the sound for my work, because I always create it while listening to the music, and sometimes when watching it without it, I realize that it's kind of missing something. It's
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, an element. But in the other hand, I think we're all like I feel like everyone is listening their own music while surfing the internet, and this is why I feel it's sometimes problematic to present such work, because a lot of people say like, oh, I don't wanna turn on the music, I don't want to turn on the audio, and they just kind of don't stop on this piece when they realize that it also includes audio and it's important to for experience. This is actually the feedback I got.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yes.
That is, I'm sorry, that is lazy.
Yes, yes, I agree, but as it's so very sad, but it's actually I heard it from multiple people, but it doesn't stop me. I still want to explore it, and actually, I had an experience with a Japanese creator Guru Hyena
Oh
back,
yeah, love.
yeah, in I think it's more than 1 year ago, I think, and we made a little bit of like installation on Cyber. He created, oh, I don't know exactly. They created GLB piece that it was a box, and also they created audio that was like ambient piece for 6 of my works, and also 6 other pieces that audio pieces that would go from with every video work. And so so the idea was that you are in this room, but coming to every piece you will have the same ambient but different sounds effect. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at how silly I think that that feedback is. You know,
Yeah.
but it is real, right? We're living
Yeah.
in Twitter age. People's attention spans are very short, and often the way they're consuming art is, challenging. So I think in
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's I struggle with this too. Even in my own artwork, I find myself optimizing for a very small window. The things I make as NFTs, I don't know if I would make those for a large installation or a gallery-sized room, right? So I hear you in like kind of responding to the reality of this online situation we're in, which is um, not kind to audio in particular.
Yes,
So
I agree. And also, what do you think about? I always, not always. Sometimes people say like, "Oh, yeah, I want to see your work on a big screen, on a big," and a lot of not only my work, a lot of work in our space. Like we're thinking, "Oh, we would like to see it in somewhere in a real life, like big space." And of course there are a lot of works that really deserve that kind of big scale to see all the details and like yeah, but and also I think the Twitter space and object and all that it's just not enough to for this kind of works. But sometimes I also feel like this is also our reality, and I feel like uh, maybe we also should consider that a lot of time people spend on their mobile phones, on their laptops. It's for so many people, it's the only way to see the art,
right.
like nowadays. So I also thinking about like right now creating a new work. I also thinking of how people would see it on their screens, uh, like maybe yeah, maybe it's meant to be there. So what do you think?
It's also cool that it's there, right? It's like I think there's multiple truths in these conversations, right? It's like equally terrible and equally amazing. Like I love that I can look at art on my phone. I also hate that we look at art on our phone, right? To talk about your struggle a little bit more, though, I think I've been encouraging artists to, one, get involved locally, even if it's small, and support and start to build physical spaces for gatherings and information sharing, potentially showing work so you can see it in real space. This doesn't always have to cost money, right? Like a lot of times in community, there's public spaces people don't realize you can rent from the city for free, etc. Um, and I've also been encouraging artists to build out on cyberspaces or internet rooms, like that black box thing that Chris shared earlier up in the chat. Because this way you can control, you can to some degree, how your work is consumed and how your work is viewed. and not rely on a Twitter posting so much or an object alone. This way you can transmit the audio or whatever you're wishing the to feel. And oftentimes in these rooms too, you can have instructions on the wall, like audio on, for example. So I think that fortunately we're in a world right now with not too many options for viewing yet. So, but there are free and easy ways to build them out yourselves. I encourage people to do that so that you have some control over it.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much.
Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing your work. It would be so cool with audio for sure.
Yeah, we'll come up with something.
Yeah, yes.
And also, speaking of music, so are there any, for example, musicians or music artists that you would like to work with right now? Like you would be really inspired?
Yes. For a long time, there's an artist named Tirza, who's a British-based singer who I would love to work with.
Oh, I know her. Yeah.
It would be a dream to work with Tirza. I just really, really like their music a lot.
Yeah, really, really kind of abstract pop, R&B music. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
At the same time.
and even like Micah Levy, her the person she collaborates with a lot to produce her albums. I would love to work with Micah Levy as well. What about you?
Me, um, I actually I'm actually a really big fan of any. I like vaporwave artist Desert Sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried to reach out to them multiple times with my with my artworks for their albums.
Nothing?
But,
No bites?
yeah, no, they didn't answer, but once they actually followed me on Twitter, so there is a there is some kind of, yeah,
It will
maybe it will
come.
happen.
It will come.
Yeah.
Or they'll
Yeah.
regret. One of the two things will happen. Um,
Yeah.
does anybody else have any questions? I know there's a lot running in the chat. Don't be shy. Ellen, I see you. I want to hear from Dave.
Hi all. I just want to say that I have a collection of drawings that I always think that I would like to make some pieces with audio. So this conversation was very inspiring about that.
Amazing. Do you have any what are your thoughts on how to display that on the internet? The Internet of Things.
How would I will do it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think they work like tiny and simple like composition, like musical composition each piece. So I was thinking maybe show it to a friend, a musician friend, and ask him to make the music of that drawing. But then I don't know if how to make that work. For example, making a video and adding some animation, or just having the still image and the music. Like I haven't researched about many pieces like made like this. So I would love to see some references.
I have some ideas here. I'm like, okay, how do we do these audio visual installations when you don't have a lot of money, for example, or as free or a standing space? And I'm almost thinking like, I don't know, is it like an outdoor, projected movie screening almost with like a decent pair of speakers? How are we going to do this? It's like, how can we mobilize and do this on the local level without it costing a ton of money? Good
You mean the
conversation.
reproduction?
Yeah, it's
How
almost
to
like
display?
it's like it's almost like a music video screening, I'm thinking, just on a very basic, not super professional level. Because what I'm hearing is that everybody seems to be struggling with how to have their work shown, right? Especially
Yeah.
with an audio component, and the internet's a little challenging. So how can we do that in addition to the internet, right? Without it costing a lot of money. And we might have to go back to, I keep returning to this local kind of like renegade screenings where you just do, outdoor projection, almost like outdoor movie screenings of the work.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Or find a local little, movie theater that can rent it out for a night, something.
Yeah. Yeah, it is challenging.
Food for thought. This has been a great conversation for me. I'm gonna think more deeply on this and ask a few friends about how to do this better. Or a club that has infrastructure, Dave says. Totally. I mean, that's kind of why I like this Carl Craig installation so much, because it kind of shows you what you could actually do at a club. I know that actually Japan has really good, I think does a really good job of showing audiovisual work uh, in clubs or in spaces. I've seen more of that there than I have in North America, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I think that the audiovisual work that I'm seeing coming from like Manami, you
Ah,
know, and
that's true.
Velvet Karu.
Ah,
Uh,
yes,
the,
yes.
yeah, the shows I'm seeing at clubs in Japan are way more in that way, way more cool like that. Like that music culture there seems to understand the
Mm-hmm.
connection between art and music a lot more, and they install properly for it.
I think it's like very small community with a audio visual. Especially I think people who are using Touch Designer
Mm-hmm.
organize these kind of audio visual events.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, maybe we have many events in Tokyo and a lot of like club and a live house. These days they have like permanent LED displays.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's maybe easy to organize this kind of audio-visual events because they have everything. And
Right.
maybe, yeah, like these events are maybe popular to audience as well.
It's pretty. Yeah, you're right though. It is small. It seems to be like the same five people, right, Seiko? It's like Genki, um, Anami, Kaoru, and who else? A few other people. The
Oh, do you know
result,
Toru? Not Toru?
not personally, but I was in a show with them, so I know of them.
Mm, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also we have Mutech Japan.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, they organize like really wonderful events every year.
Right. So Dave has a good point that the clubs kind of have the infrastructure for this. Or some of these clubs tend to have a better infrastructure for audiovisual work. That's Dave. That's interesting. We should talk about this separately.
Mm.
Yeah, well, it just like
Ooh.
exists already versus like building your own thing from scratch.
Right. Dave, where are you located? Just curious.
I'm in Baltimore right now. I lived in New Orleans for 17 years, and I just moved up to the East Coast.
Got it.
So it's kind of like an adjustment, for sure.
Did you want to expand on that?
Yeah. Well, I honestly I don't have any much of a community here or anything, and my whole life and professional uh, contacts and everything and most of my friends are in New Orleans. So it's kind of it's like starting over. But what is cool up here, at least, it's like the proximity to other cities. Like I can go to DC, Philly, New York, all pretty easily. Where in New Orleans, you're so isolated, even though it's so beautiful culturally and everything. It's very small, and
Right.
opportunities for like there's just a really low ceiling kind of for artistic stuff. And yeah, so it's different.
I would love to connect you with my friend Lillian Yvonne Bertram. She's a poet. She's just moved. They are just moving to Baltimore this month, and I collaborated with them on my Ferrophile piece for the Verse. But I should connect you both because I feel like there's so few. They're feeling similarly lonely in terms of the specific art community. So I want to connect you both. I think you'll get along.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I need to meet more people here.
Yeah, and they're really interested in collaborating with visual artists, so that could be a really nice match.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of interest in poetry or wordplay as well and stuff.
Me too. But this is. I have a question for the group. Most everybody is kind of connected or in a city that doesn't have a super strong digital art community. What platforms are people enjoying experiencing art in or creating art in? Trying to figure out what are the best platforms for the Internet of Things. No answers. There's no place. There's no place.
Do you mean NFT or just
In general, like if you are in a small city and you don't maybe have a local, like what Dave's experiencing, right? You maybe don't have.
I personally looking for works on ArtNet.
Interesting.
I just because but it's for me because I personally really inspired by 20th century abstract artist, and I just start from one artwork and just go through the works of one artist and to another, and sometimes just dig into the works of one artist, get them to arena and so on. But also for me, yeah, and I have some online magazines that I sometimes look through, and of course I like sometimes watching something from NFTs, art blogs, and just websites of my favorite creators,
Got it.
coders like Raphael Rosendahl and so on.
I love Brad Rosenthal's work. I think it's so nice. Have you ever seen it installed anywhere in a space?
No, only on my laptop. But I would love to see one day. It's my dream that I would come to some museum and there will be huge, or maybe not huge, work of Raphael, and I will watch it, and suddenly he come to me and says, "Hey, it's my work."
Hey, buddy, that's me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Also, just that these laptops are our worlds is such a contemporary dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, I haven't actually, I've never been to any space that that was shown works that I like. I mean, like contemporary art that is going on right now. All of the things I know, they are from, that I experience them through my computer. And yeah, it is really my dream to be able to go somewhere where the digital art, computer art, and contemporary art is showing. Yeah.
Well, group, I see our group is shrinking a little bit here. I don't want to keep everybody here, but I'm happy to stay here for a few more minutes and chat. I just don't want to be boring, or I want to be mindful of other people's time. If I was talking about like platforms, like I was also talking about platforms, like are people enjoying anything on cyber or anything in the metaverse or any other websites where artwork is being kind of curated that they're actually enjoying the experience of, because I think we're struggling out there.
Yeah, I have some aversion too to like just to the metaverse like platforms. Like it takes like I need like motivation to like go explore. Maybe that will change as like hardware changes a bit or something.
Right, right. It's still
Or
clunky.
even
It's
like I
clunky.
usually have like so much stuff open on my computer that like it's gonna crash my computer or something. So like
Right.
you know, like I need to like close all my projects and stuff like that, which I don't know. But did you ever see New Art City? This one?
Oh, yes. I'm so glad you're bringing this up. New Art City is probably my favorite website, digital art.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always like really impressed with the quality of their shows and like how they um like create their metaverse or whatever.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw that in the chat right here. Everybody should check this out. Um, I was lucky enough to meet Sammy, who's one of the people who runs it. They live in Los Angeles as well, and I'm deeply interested in collaborating with this platform on doing uh, exhibitions online. I think that this is a great place to view art, to experience it. They have really incredible live shows. Hackathons. Rosa Menkman has a really beautiful installation in here. So do a lot of artists that are actually minting on object that are working in 3D and GLB originally started here. It's really inspiring. It's really a huge source of inspiration for me. Dave, thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I would just add, using it, I felt like their platform is really intuitive to build on as well. I don't
Yeah,
know if
they're
they have like Web3 capabilities, so it feels like different than
Yeah, they're
these other
starting.
countries.
They're starting to. They just got a grant from Tezos Foundation and can now connect your Tezos wallet to the site and view your artwork collection in New Art City.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, this just happened last week, and I think they're still kind of soft announcing it because things are buggy at first. But everyone should check that out and connect their wallet. It's pretty cool.
That's
Hey,
cool.
yeah,
That's really
thinking of,
cool.
oh,
No,
sorry.
yeah, that'll really bridge the divide, I think.
I was just we had a session with metaverse architect, Untitled XYZ. And it was really interesting talk. It was a really good class. And I feel like a lot of the thoughts I had and a lot of the things that we discussed during that was sort of how the metaverse, the way I experience it as like as an attempt to solve a display problem. And it just feels like it's not there yet and we're just at the beginning. But I always feel like that attempt is very much a part of the experience. And that is always like, I think that's obviously going to take away from just a sort of pure engagement. And maybe it's just we need to get more familiar with it. Maybe the spaces themselves need to change. But that's something that I've been thinking a lot about these metaverse spaces, is that we really want to be able to display artwork, but there's not, oftentimes it's just a flat canvas that you're going to stick something on. And there's not very much communication with the space and the art, or the artist and the architect. And it seems like there just needs to be more. These relationships need to come together for something like a really solid metaverse space to work. I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, me too. And also, I think what you're pointing to well is like there's just a lack of builders, right? There's a lack of devs in the space. There's a lack of builders. Most people are working for free, especially in the artist sector. So I think we're struggling with that. And I think, as you noted as well, we're still in the beginning of these things. The way I relate to kind of where we're at in building right now in the digital spaces, we're kind of like in the industrial revolution, right? It's basically 1902, but digitally, and things are still dirty and difficult and require a lot of effort to kind of make happen, and it's hard, and it's going to take I think 5 or 10 years to work all these kinks out.
We had also a session with Decentralize about HyperFi, this this site. It actually was really cool. He had this we had this experience. We were not watching the presentation. We were connected to this world and have an access to it, and we were walking through this world, looking through his artworks and the way he all curated it all. I felt it for like Rebecca. I felt like before that it's not ready yet, but after HyperFi, I felt like, wow, this is really, it's really happening. It's really interesting. It's like really immersive, and yeah, so I'm actually really inspired and also want to try to create something in this space.
Yeah, I've heard good things about HyperFi as well, and I've actually have a dev friend over there, so I can vouch for HyperFi being something that's going to go somewhere.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I had some experience with decentralized, I mean metaverse. So I had like some kind of offer from artist to see their exhibition there, and when I was really excited to try, but then I followed the link and I just couldn't realize where to go. It was like, so yeah, and even though I asked her to help me, still I couldn't find her works in the space.
Oh, we have to be very patient with things right now, as I mentioned earlier. There's not enough builders, and most people are doing stuff in their spare time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're donating their time, I should say. So we have to be very patient. Yeah, we're in the beginning of all this. We have to, things are going to be clunky for a minute. All right, y'all. Well, I've got about 5 or 10 minutes left in me before I have to bounce. I probably have to leave shortly as well. But it's been an honor to be here, and I want to make sure that I answer any questions or talk to anybody who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. So shy. The internet is so shy.
Yeah, but I just want to thank you. It was really a great session, and I feel like we all connected a little bit during this time. So yeah, it was a pleasure for me to chat. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I want, would love for everybody here to feel free to reach out to me directly, be friends, ask me questions, ask me for resources. I'm always happy to support or give some guidance, not guidance, I'm not an expert, but share any experience I have to help make someone else's experience better.
I also want to say thank you, Dina. Thank you so much for being here and also your time. It was very interesting to hear all of your experiences, and I'm very happy to talk with you directly.
Yes, I hope we can speak directly more again. I to tell you, the I've been loving just WhatsApp calling people and doing video calls with artists in the space much more lately. Almost like when your grandmother calls you, because I think hearing the voice has just been much more meaningful to me lately than just DMs, etc. So um, I want people to call me and leave voice messages, and I want to hear voices more.
I would love it.
The thing I love about WhatsApp is you can leave a voice message, and that's so fun.
That's true. And also, video call sounds great.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just put my phone number in here,
Oh, that's
or
lovely.
if anyone wants to WhatsApp me.
I want to.
I won't pick up my phone though. You have to WhatsApp me. Only because my phone has so much spam, I can't answer every call now. Voice messages
Okay,
are the
I will
best though.
try.
Yes, but if anyone wants to WhatsApp me, that's where I can be found. DMs are open. I had a great time, you guys. Thank you for having me. Fantastic. A pleasure to be here. I'd do it anytime. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you.